Good morning. The meeting of the Louisiana Tax Commission is hereby called to order. The meeting is being held at the office of the Louisiana Tax Commission at 1051 North Third Street, Suite 225, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The date is Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. The time is 9 a.m. Please call the roll.
Chairman Roussel,
Here.
Commissioner Leone,
Here.
Commissioner Romick, Commissioner Guidry,
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Here.
Board present and a quorum.
For the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is passed.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 1,376 change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 1,342, place 33 in pending status, and deny 1. Staff requests approval of these change orders.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 1,342 change orders and place 33 in pending status and deny 1 for reasons given by staff.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 13 prior pending change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve all 13. Staff requests approval of the prior pending change orders.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve all 13 change orders for reasons given by staff.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, a total of 6 tax sale cancellations, 3 in St. Tammany Parish due to being erroneously sold, 2 in East EBR Parish due to being erroneously sold, and 1 in Washington Parish due to being erroneously sold. Staff requests approval of 6 tax sale cancellations.
Mr. Chair, call for motion to approve the 6 tax sale cancellations by staff.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Go ahead and call it up, Chandrika. You can call the docket on it.
Next, we'll take up the consideration of a decision in the following matter of the appeal of Northgate Mini Storage LLC versus Assessor Bobby Edmiston and the Brosia Parish Board of Review, docket number 25220150001.
Chairman, I just rise just to remind you, y'all heard this matter last month or the month before. I was asked to place consideration of decision. You would take it under advisement after hearing a presentation of witness testimony and evidence. If the commission is prepared to enter a decision, the chair can entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set the total value for $452,800. That's a land value of $331,940, an improvement value of $120,860.
Can we have a motion? Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, a written decision will be issued to that effect.
Thank you, Mr. Hawk.
Next, we'll take up the consideration of the motion in limine for Joyce Steel Erection Limited, docket number 25220150002 for Brosia Parish.
Mr. Chairman, as the parties come forward, and I'll need to swear in the taxpayer representatives, before the commission on the agenda this morning is a hearing on a motion in limine. Y'all have heard these before, but just as a reminder, the assessor has filed this motion seeking to exclude some of the taxpayers' evidence. I'll let Mr. Eddington kind of illuminate more on what exactly he's arguing. Certainly, the taxpayers should be given an opportunity to respond. I will note they didn't file a written response, but that's not required, so you can still entertain for arguments or statements they have to make today. Gentlemen, don't raise your right hands. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Your name? Joe Bob Joyce. Thank you.
I do. Kevin Oney.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eddington?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Eddington on behalf of the Bossier Parish Assessor's Office. This is a motion in limine. You've heard a lot of these. As you well know, the Louisiana revised statutes provide that the review of the correctness of an assessment by an assessor shall be confined to review of the evidence presented to the assessor prior to the deadline for filing a protest with the Board of Review. In this case, Joyce Steel Erectors has pre-filed 6 exhibits. Only one of those exhibits, Exhibit A, was actually provided to the assessor. The remaining exhibits are testimonies from people in the crane industry dealing with values, Ritchie Brother auction results for previous years, Ritchie Auction Brother results from October 7th, 2025. Unfortunately, none of this information was provided to the assessor. They've also provided some email exchanges trying to work this out. All of those email exchanges occurred well after the Board of Review had upheld Assessor Edmiston's valuation. I understand that Mr. Joyce is here. I assume he's the owner of Joyce Steel Erectors, that they don't have a tax rep, and I know these rules can be harsh, but unfortunately, the law on this issue is pretty clear, and that evidence that wasn't presented to the assessor, and again, none of this evidence was, cannot be admitted into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Hinton. We'll hear from the taxpayer.
Yes, sir. I'm Joe Bob Joyce and here to talk about our situation that we had in Bossier Parish. We went before the review board. Some of the information, as he said, we submitted ahead of time. It was our first rodeo, so we certainly didn't know everything had to be in. That's our fault. We understood that, and we understand it now. Some of it we weren't able to get. We have two fundamental issues that we are trying to get to justify, and that's why we have our third-party evaluation. The composite multiplier that we were asked to use, we really, and we've asked Mr. Edmonton about this, we really don't believe that that category is the correct one because it doesn't follow in line with what any of our valuations end up coming out with, true sales results and what the current market does. It says cranes, crawler cranes. We don't have crawler cranes, and we're not talking about crawler cranes. We did present some of this evidence in the hearing that we had in Bossier Parish, and the commissioners that were there that heard the case, as we talked through, and we talked through how if hypothetically we paid $1 million for a crane, in year 8, that crane was still worth either more than $1 million or right at $1 million. The first 8 years, it barely fluctuated at all. So fundamentally, I guess we have two issues. The first one is, are we in the right composite market deal, which we don't believe we are? Number two, and that's why we had the third-party evidence that we didn't have at the time of that case. We went out and got some Ritchie Brother auctions on specific cranes that we would refer to more as not just auction results, but they are more like Barrett Jackson auction results, because they're targeting crane owners, and we have 3,000 people looking to buy our cranes when we sell them. And we have some of those values that were within $5,000 to $10,000 of what we claimed they were worth, and what we reported they were worth, and $300,000 or $400,000 less than what the multiplier says. So I guess our biggest problem is the multiplier, and we needed to get this information in to say, are we in the right category or the wrong category? The commissioners in Bossier Parish heard our case. They agreed that the values were not, that wasn't a good depreciation based on just common sense. But they also agreed that they weren't the appropriate people to be making a decision on what the valuation was. So they asked Mr. Edmonton and myself, would we be willing to sit down and have that conversation and try to work through, because it was obvious that we were either in the wrong category or whatever. We did meet with, we reached out to Mr. Edmonton several times to have a meeting, to have this conversation, to have this follow-up that we discussed in their hearing that day. And we finally got it scheduled, but it got down so close to the wire, we had to file this appeal or we were going to miss our opportunity. Mr. Edmonton did meet with us via Zoom, and his determination was he could not deviate. He did not have the ability to go outside of the composite multiplier that they have. He could not negotiate that. So I guess that's my second question, since and the delta is they're saying $7.5 million in round numbers, and we're saying $4 million in equipment value. This year, there's still that about $3.5 million difference between what the multiplier says and what the fair market value of the equipment says. So I guess two issues. Is there somebody that we can sit down and discuss that with, that we can come to a happy medium about what equipment's worth? Number one, and can we get are we operating under the correct guidelines, the correct multiplier, which I don't think we are, but that's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce.
Yes, sir.
The Exhibit D, the auction brothers results, the reason that was never turned in on time is because the auction was a month after the actual hearing. So it was 45 days after we was actually due to do paperwork. And those are the actual sales of the cranes in question for the previous year.
Just to remind, today we're talking about the information that was turned in after the deadline, not a question of the appeal. And so today we're not going to rule on the appeal. When you come forward with the appeal, then you can talk about value and then we will consider value. So just want to be clear on that. Today is strictly a motion on the items that were turned in late. The assessor has objected to it. We have to make a ruling on whether we going to grant the assessor's motion that excludes those items or allow them into the record. So just to be clear on that.
Understand. I just thought the backstory would add a little.
It helps us to better understand what we're talking about. Mr. Eddington, any more comments?
Your Honor, I think it's been
Any questions from the
sufficiently
commission? Not, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to grant the assessor's motion. I think we've been pretty consistent on how our evidence needs to be turned in by what we have in the rules there. So, but that is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted. Those items will be excluded from the record when it comes for appeal.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, the next item we'll take up on the docket today is the consideration of the Orleans Parish supplemental Q1 tax rolls for calendar year 2026, the tax years 2023 and 2026. Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission, staff has received the supplemental tax rolls for calendar year 2026 first quarter for tax years 2023 through 2026. For Orleans Parish, that includes supplemental electronic rolls, the TC 33 abstracts, and millage report for those years. The quietus and the Louisiana Legislative Approval Letter are now required for the supplemental tax roll as it was previously filed during the approval process of the 2026 tax roll. Please note that LTC values, public service, and banks and insurance values did not change. The assessor has provided an affidavit attesting that the information contained in the supplemental tax rolls is correct and that all affected taxpayers were timely notified. The reasons for these supplemental tax rolls are as follows: real property canceled and or adjusted homestead exemption and or age freeze due to deceased owner or the owners not residing at property. For personal property was omitted from roll in or assessment raised due to underreporting. Staff requests approval of the Orleans Parish supplemental tax rolls for calendar year 2026, first quarter for the tax years 2023 through 2026.
Any questions from the commission? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the supplemental tax rolls for the parish of Orleans. And that'll be the tax roll for current year 2026 and tax years 2023 through 2026.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
I think you'll have done this before, but if you'll be testifying in any of the appeal hearings this morning, I'll have you stand up. I'll have you raise your right hand. I'll administer an oath to you. I'll indicate to you individually, have you affirm the oath and have you state your name. Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all may have a seat. Appraiser, same exercise. If you please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. George.
George Wallace, I do.
Paul.
Paul Bennett, I do.
Reed.
Reed Duval, I do.
Marquet.
Marquet Palmer, I do.
Joshua.
Joshua Laverne, I do.
And Luke. And Luke.
Luke Brewer, I do. Sorry.
Thank you. Very good, Chair.
Okay, the first item we'll take up today is letter E on the agenda, which is the appeal of Assessor LG Williams versus SLS Studios LLC and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25-221-71019.
Good morning, Lisa Ross from Orleans Parish Assessor's Office. This appeal is for 651 Richard Street, which is a warehouse that has office space located in the Lower Garden District. It says the current occupants appear to be associated with the film and entertainment industry, and it also benefits from a location, well, it has a good location. Upon our independent analysis, well, our original value was $1,486,000. The taxpayer requested $874,300. Board of Review set the value at 1.2 million. We did an independent assessment and came up with a value of $1,494,800. Our prayer is for our original value since the OPA, our appraisal came out higher. Our prayer is for our original value of $1,486,200.
We'll hear from the taxpayer rep.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sarah Narbas for the taxpayer. At the heart of this appeal are two fundamentally different views of the subject property. The assessor values it as though it were a stabilized warehouse earning market rent in their valuation. In reality, it's a special use film production studio that's part of a larger campus whose value has been materially impacted by the downturn in the film industry. At year-end 2024, the occupancy was only 26%. In the assessor's calculation, they are valuing it as a warehouse with 96% occupancy. The sales referenced in the assessor's valuation packet are not truly comparable to the subject property. Buyers looking to purchase a generic warehouse would assign little value to the specialized improvements needed to produce films. It would be costly to alter or remove them to the buyer. That loss in contributory value is the key reason the assessor's proposed 2026 assessment exceeds fair market value. In the absence of appropriate sales comps, we performed a Marshall & Swift cost analysis. The building was built in the early 1900s, and we accounted for the economic obsolescence of the film industry, indicating a value of $874,300. Given the property's specialized nature, diminished utility, and weakened economic performance, the current assessment exceeds what a willing buyer would pay in the marketplace for this type of special use property. We respectfully request that the commission deny the assessor's appeal and uphold the BOR's determination of 1.2 million.
Okay, we'll hear from the LTC appraisers. Reed?
Reed Duval, Louisiana Tax Commission. I have personally appraised the property located at 651 Richard Street in New Orleans. And I came up with a undisputed land value of $503,900, an improvement value of $881,100 for a total value of $1,385,000.
Thank you, Reed. Questions from the commission?
I have one question, Mr. Chair. for the taxpayer. Ma'am, is that property currently being used right now? Is it?
It's still low occupancy, yes. It's rented for, so it's a film production studio, so it's more weekly rentals. It's not the typical stable month or year type of lease. And since there's not a lot of the film, production has moved overseas due to cheaper labor costs, there's not the same amount of film credits that there used to be. So
So-
occupancy is still low.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there is a current, what I'm looking for, income that's being made off the property at this point.
Right, 26% occupancy at year end 2024, yes. So here and there is some, but it's more weekly and not stable.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. I was looking at the NOIs of, the LTC and the parish and kind of the average of it, so. And one thing I do want to say, just on this case and going forward, when we're trying to argue vacancy rates are high or expense ratios are high, it would very much help in some of these cases if there's more than 1 year of evidence supplied. That way we can see a trend, and I'm not just speaking on this case. This is going to be applied to some other cases that we're seeing today. I'm just taking this time to talk about it now. It would very much help that is supplied so we can see a trend when we're setting values for quadrennial assessment. So as I say that, I'm going to give you the value that I have. And so I came up with the total value of $1.4 million, $67,570. And that's a land value of $503,900 and an improvement value of $963,670.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hear none, motion is adopted.
Okay, next we'll take up item H on the agenda, and I'm sorry, it was, I misspoke on the agenda, it's actually in the taxpayer's appeal, so it's the appeal of Art Space, it's the assessors, I'm sorry. The appeal of Assessor LG Williams versus Art Space Bell School Limited Partnership and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 2522172-012.
Hear from the assessor's office.
Good morning, Lisa Ross again. Art Space Bell, I keep wanting to call it a studio, but it's not. But it's an apartment complex that was repurposed. It was a school that was repurposed as an apartment complex. This actual parcel at 1010 North Galvez should really be valued with 2101 Domain. All the financials encompass both parcels. When we did the analysis for this particular appeal, because 2101 Domain Street, for some reason, was not appealed along with this one. However, there is a value assigned to that. So what I did was we did an analysis on the total and then applied the residual value after taking out 2101 Domain to this parcel. So 2101 Domain already has a board of review value of, let me find that, of $1,329,200. This is also a LIHTC property. In past years, the LIHTC, the tax commission has set the expenses for LIHTC property at 65%. So I used that. They did supply audited financials, and what I did when I analyzed the audited financials was came up with a lease price per square foot for the entire building, for the entire complex. I applied that to the square footage that is assigned to this particular parcel of 61,328 square feet at a rate of 65 cents a square foot. And did use zero vacancy and loss because we use their actual expenses, from the actuals, and the actual income, I'm sorry. And then their total expenses, I capped that at 65% per previous tax commission guidelines. Use the cap rate of 6.5%. It is a fairly newly renovated building. Came up with an overall cap rate of 7.84. For this particular parcel, I came up with 2,135,600. If I had done the total square footage, the total value was 3,345,300 for the total square footage. I mean, if I had used the total square footage. Therefore, I'm asking the commission to, I think our original value was $2,922,100, and I'm asking the commission to uphold the value of $2,135,600 for this particular parcel, and leave the we're going to leave 2101 domain the same.
I'm Elizabeth Stockmeyer, representing the taxpayer. Commissioners, the parties agree on the critical facts. Art Space Bell is a 79-unit LIHTC property. The income approach is the appropriate valuation method, and the audited financial statements cover both parcels as one multi-parcel operation. The problem is that the assessor appealed only one parcel and then attempted to divide the project's income by square footage. Granting the assessor's requested value while leaving the other parcel at its unappealed Board of Review value would place the same project at a combined value of $3,464,800, even though the actual 2024 income, a 65% expense limitation, and the loaded capitalization rate support a total project value of $2,989,000. This is one project with one set of audited financials, and it should not be assigned to inconsistent values simply because the assessor only appealed one of its parcels. The Board of Review properly valued both parcels consistently as one economic unit, and we respectfully ask that the Commission affirm the Board of Review value of $1,659,800 for parcel 208106819.
Thank you. We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Paul.
Paul Bennett with the Louisiana Tax Commission. I personally appraised the property at 1010 North Galvez Street with an undisputed land value of $1,269,900, an improvement value of $561,100 for a total value of $1,831,000.
Thank you, Paul. Questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I call for a motion to accept the assessor's value of $2,135,600, which is $1,269,100 of land, $866,500 of improvements, total of $2,135,600.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we'll take up item J. I apologize in advance. The appeal of Saran de Gaulle LLC versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221-75006.
Yes, this is the only one. Sarah Nerbass for the taxpayer. The subject is a self-storage facility known as Extra Space Storage, 3200 General de Gaulle in Orleans Parish. It has about 109,000 square feet of rentable area. The most reliable indicator of fair market value for an income producing self-storage facility is the income approach, because it directly reflects the property's actual earning capacity and market performance. Therefore, we have submitted the actual year-end 2024 financials. The total income comes in at $579,820, operating expenses of $198,148, resulting in a net income, operating income before real estate taxes, interest, and depreciation of approximately $381,672. We applied a capitalization rate of 9.78, which is 7.8 going in cap rate plus the applicable effective tax rate, which yielded an indicated fair market value of approximately $3.9 million. The Louisiana Tax Commission's appraisal also concluded that the assessor's valuation is excessive and determined that the income capitalization approach provides the best indication of the value for the subject property. We respectfully submit that the actual operating data supports a market value of 3.9 million. And we request that the Louisiana Tax Commission adopt the income capitalization value indicated by the evidence and reduce the assessment accordingly.
Thank you. We'll hear from the New Orleans Assessor's Office.
Good morning. This property, as stated, is a mini self-storage unit. We initially valued the property at $5,468,500. The Board of Review upheld that value. That is the right one. We did an independent appraisal using the income approach. We did not have, we were not provided income and expenses or on any audited statements for our office. So what we did was we found their actual rates that they were leasing their units for both their what's the word I'm looking for? For their climate control, thank you, and they're not climate controlled units. We used the total square footage of 791 square feet. And we used an average of what they provided, but we do have listed in our documentation all of the units that they have and what their lease rates are per unit or per square foot. And we decided that that was the best way to value this property. We indicated a total value of $4,694,200, which is lower than what we had initially come up with. And our prayer is for the commission to grant the $4,694,200.
Thank you. We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Josh.
Good morning, Joshua Laverne, LTC appraiser. I inspected and appraised the property located at 3200 General DeGaulle, utilizing both the cost and income approaches. Those approaches produce values of $4,475,000 for cost and $4,120,000 for income, with $1,524,400 to the land. And I settled on the income approach at $4,120,000 with strong support from the cost approach.
Thank you, Josh. Questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, can you have the parish assessor go through those numbers again for land and improvements?
Land being $1,524,400. Improvement being $3,169,800 for a total of $4,694,200.
Can I make a comment? We did provide, so the assessor's evidence is two income approaches. One is the actual, it dovetails with our actual income, with the exception of excluding collection loss. So they have that one that comes out at 4.4. They excluded the collection loss. And then the second one, they went on the website of the property and kind of tried to do a pro forma, but they weren't aware how many were air conditioned, how many were not. So my argument would be that the actual income would be the reliable, the more reliable approach.
Questions? Any additional questions from the commission? Or not, we make a motion, Commissioner Frazier?
Yeah, so I looked at, y'all did all income approaches on all of them. And there was 3 of the income approaches that were very close on top of each other, the NOIs and stuff. So I kind of did an average of the 3, used the parish's cap rate because I'm hoping that they use that cap rate with other like properties. And so I came up with a total value of $4,348,000. That's a land value of $1,524,400 with an improvement value of $2,823,600.
Do we have a motion? Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Okay, next we'll take up item K on the agenda, which is the appeal of Assessor LG Williams appeal of Assessor LG Williams versus 9900 Timber Ridge LLC and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221-75009.
Assessors appeal, right? We'll hear from the assessor's office.
Good morning. This is, we have it as 6364 Woodland Highway. It's an apartment building that's in pretty bad shape. It's 151 units in the Tall Timber subdivision on the west bank of New Orleans. We initially had the property valued at $5,980,000 total. The taxpayer requested $3,925,900. The Board of Review valued it at a total of $5 million. We did an income approach, and we did have actual rental data that was provided. However, the expense ratio was really, really high, which included things that we would not have included or that are not normally included for NOI valuation, such as debt service, capital expenditures, things like that. So we reduced the expense ratio from, I think it was 85% to 60%, and used actually the same cap rate that was applied by the tax commission value, because using a tier 3 property, because the property is in pretty bad condition, and came up with a total of, well, we actually came up with, 5,900,000. We came up with a total of, 6,753,800, but, why did I do that? We'll settle in the neighborhood we'll take 5,400,000, which we think is a more, believable value because the property is in pretty poor condition.
Yeah, Nick, could you please give us the values on that new value that you're
That would
requesting?
be, land at 1,341,900. Improvement at 4,058,100 for a total of 5,400,000. I mean, 5,400,000, that's correct.
We'll hear from the taxpayer.
Elizabeth Stockmeyer, representing the taxpayer. Commissioners, 2024 was the parish-wide reassessment year when market conditions were reviewed across the parish. At that time, the assessor valued this property at approximately $3.9 million. Then in 2025, the assessor increased the fair market value to approximately $5,980,000, a change of more than $2 million. The taxpayer provided property-specific actual financials which support the assessor's original 2024 reassessment value. The taxpayer's actual financials indicate a value of $3,454,000. The commission's independent appraisal also considered the property's actual financial performance and concluded a value of $3,388,000. Timber Ridge is approximately 47 years old, and the commission's appraiser found that the subject's actual income and operating expenses were reasonable for similar properties. The assessor is now disregarding the property's actual expenses and substituting generalized CoStar market assumptions. We are not arguing that the 2024 assessment is frozen or could never change. We're just pointing out that the assessor singled out this property and increased the value in 2025, in turn treating the property as unique and unfairly increasing its value when other properties in the surrounding area were left unchanged. We respectfully ask that the commission set the 2026 fair market value at $3,454,000.
We'll hear from the LTC appraiser. Paul?
Paul Bennett with the Louisiana Tax Commission. I personally appraised the property at 6364 Woodland Highway with an undisputed land value of $1,341,900, an improvement value of $2,046,100 for a total value of $3,388,000.
Now, I just want to make sure I understand. You're asking for the 3.457. You're not okay with the LTC appraiser of the 3,388.
We're okay with the,
Just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions from the commission?
I guess, yeah, I have a question. I was noticing what the taxpayer had said, that the property was unfairly appraised, if I'm correct in what was said. Ms. Lisa and Mr. Russell, can you help me understand that a little bit better as to what that was referencing?
Sure,
Taxpayer saying?
we had the assumption that the property had a change in character from the last quadrennial assessment because we had a lower condition. We took a look at the actual sale price that happened for the property in '24 for 6.5 million. We took a look at CoStar and TREP and all of our commercial databases to get a better indicator of value. I know Ms. Lisa has said that this is a poor condition property, but it was a better condition than what we initially had it valued. So our initial valuation was an error. And when we reviewed it, we found that our condition needed to be increased and therefore the value was increased.
Thank you, Russell. Okay. Any additional questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I call for a motion to set this value of this property for $4 million total, which is $1,341,900 land, $2,658,100 improvements, total of $4 million.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion? Any objection? Hear none, motion is adopted. Carl's on vacation, or he just doesn't like us anymore?
Oh, he's watching.
Okay, we'll move back to the top of our docket for item A, which is the appeal of 1844 LLC versus Cesar L.G. Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221-71043.
Taxpayers, so we'll hear from the LTC, from the City of New Orleans Assessors Office.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a repeat from last year. It was appealed by the taxpayer. They provided no exhibits. They asked for a bunch of continuances and finally ended up withdrawing. They've filed the appeal the same year again. Provided no exhibits to us, and obviously they're not here. The commission's appraisal is higher than the Board of View's value. We request a Board of View to be upheld.
We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Luke.
Good morning, Commissioners. Luke Brewer, the Louisiana Tax Commission. I did a fee simple appraisal on 117 St. Charles Avenue, performed the comparable sales approach, and it indicated a final opinion value of $790,000, $285,900 in undisputed land value, with $504,100 in improvements.
Okay, thank you, Luke. Questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Orleans appraisal at land at $285,900 and improvements at $318,500 for a total of $604,400.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion? Any objection?
Hang on one second. Were y'all's requested value 550,000 or the?
Yeah, so, in this one, the border review value, is actually 500.
590. Is it 590 or 550?
550.
Yeah, 550. For a total, for, land at 285,900, improvement at 264,100, for a total of 550,000. Based on the assessment.
Okay, I read that incorrectly, then that's,
Sorry, that's what I went off of.
yeah, I got
But-
the appraised value on there, not the assessed value. The Board of View does assessment, and it's a 15%, not a 10%.
So,
What's the correct number?
Mr. Chairman,
Land
read it
at
back to me one more time.
Land at 285,900, building at 264,100, for a total of 550,000.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept that appraisal from the Orleans Assessor's Office. Do I need to read those out to you once again? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thanks, and that's a good catch, Mr. Commissioner Frazier, on that.
Frazier, you on the game today.
Yeah, yeah. We have a motion. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted. Not
Next,
that you're not on your game every time, just.
next, we'll take up the appeal of 1844 versus Cesar L.G. Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221-71044.
You're from the New Orleans Assessor's Office?
Yeah, Is it the same situation as the last one? We're asking for the commission to uphold the Board of Use value. And I will give you those numbers as soon as I stop tap dancing. 1,633,700 for land improvement at 156,200 for a total fair market value of 1,789,900.
We'll hear from the LTC appraiser.
Good morning, Commissioners. Luke Brewer. I personally appraised the property at 121 St. Charles Avenue. My appraisal indicated a final opinion of value of $2,115,000. That would be $1,633,700 in undisputed land value and $451,300 in improvements.
Any questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set the value at $1,789,900. That's $1,633,700 for the land and the improvement for $156,200.
We have a motion. Any discussion? Any objection? Hear none, motion is adopted.
Okay, next we have the appeal of 1844 LLC versus Assessor LG Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221711045.
We'll hear from New Orleans Assessor's Office.
Yeah. Good morning, Commissioners. This is another situation exactly like the other two. We're asking the commission to affirm the Board of Use value of 127,600, land 289,400, building for a total fair market value of 417.
We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Luke.
Good morning, Commissioners. Luke Brewer, Louisiana Tax Commission. I personally appraised 134 Carondelet Street. My appraisal indicated a final opinion of value of $573,000. $127,600 is undisputed land value, and the remaining $445,400 in improvements.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Orleans appraisal at land at 127,600 and improvements at, I'm hoping this number is correct, 289,400 for a total of 417,000.
It's adopted.
Okay, next we have the appeal of 1844 LLC versus Assessor LG Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221711046.
Hear from New Orleans Assessor's Office.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is the final one of the same situation as the other three. We're asking the Board of Use value to be affirmed, 256,400 for land, 316,600 for building, for a total fair market value of 573,000.
We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Luke.
Good morning again, gentlemen. Luke Brewer with the LTC. I personally appraised 140 Carondelet Street. My final opinion value was $837,000, $256,400 in undisputed land value, and $580,600 in improvements.
Thank you, Luke. Questions
Yes,
from the
sir.
commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Chair, call for a motion to the assessors a figure of total of 573,000, which is 256,400 land, improvements 316,600, total of 573,000.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hear none, motion is adopted.
Next, we are moving to item F on the agenda, which is the appeal of Assessor LG Williams versus St. Cyr Real Estate LLC and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221711028.
Hear from New Orleans Assessor's Office.
Wait, I'm sorry, which one was that again? Item number what?
Oh.
F. Oh, yeah, gotcha. This one right here.
Okay, so this one's a little interesting. Okay. I can't read. This one's a little interesting. This property was initially valued at the wrong square footage. It was initially valued at 13,272 square feet. Once we reviewed the property and realized it's actually two buildings that are connected, the square footage was corrected to 30,331 square feet. It actually recently sold for $2.1 million. We used, when we valued the property, we used the income information from CoStar. How do I, yeah, let me get to that. We used a, CoStar indicated rents between $10 and $12 per square foot. And we used $9.50 per square foot with a vacancy rate of 5%. Once we applied that and applied a 35% expense ratio for this warehouse, we came up with a total of $1,734,800. We also did, I think he did cost. We also did a sales comparison approach. And once we reconciled the three values, he also did a cost as well that, and once we reconciled the values, we came up with a total of $1,745,200. And that's based on the 30,331 square feet as opposed to the 13,272 square feet. So we asked the commission to grant us the value of $1,745,200.
We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Reed.
Reed Duval, Louisiana Tax Commission. I personally inspected the property located at 2538 Poydras for the total value of $1,415,000. Undisputed land value was $638,800, and the improvement value was $776,200.
Questions from the commission?
I have a question for the assessor's office. Now, if I'm understanding this correct from what I'm reading, y'all are now wanting the 1.7 million value after y'all appealed for the 973 because y'all found your mistake during this being down
Yes.
here in front of us.
Yes, because when we initially valued the property, we missed a ton of square footage, over 50% of it.
Okay. Anybody that have any questions, I have a motion. I understand what happened with y'all, but for my opinion, y'all need to address that for the next year. That way the taxpayer, whoever he is, has that understanding from the get-go. To do it this late in the appeal process doesn't seem right to for him not to know that, whoever the taxpayer was. So I'm gonna grant you your original assessment, a $973,600 total value. That's a land value of $638,800 on the land value, an improvement value of $334,800. With the condition, we understand that you would have to change something for the years going forward because you had something off, but just for this tax year and how late it happened.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have item I, which is the appeal of Elaine Freesby Cafrito versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221-73029.
We'll hear from the Orleans Assessor's Office.
So all right. So Commissioners, this property is a really horrible value property. Took a look at it. I met with the taxpayer during the open roll period and had set a value in the previous year. This property is missing most of its roof and facade and it has some severe damage to the property. We had initially valued it at 225, but that was a value where it was more in commerce. This property is obviously not in commerce. And so we're requesting that, I know we prayed for 197, but we're asking the commission in light of the extreme damage to the property, to set at the tax commission appraised value of $124,000.
Can
Well-
you give a?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We'll hear from George. Any comment, George?
George Wallace, Louisiana Tax Commission appraiser. I appraised the property for $124,000, $72,000 land, $52,000 for the building.
Thank you, George. Do I hear a motion from the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll move with the parish assessors appraisal at 72,000 for land and improvements at 52,000 for a total of 124,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Okay, our final appeal of the morning is the appeal of Second Singer LLC versus Assessor LG Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 25221-76015. Hey, Marquez, I think Marquez, you need to mute. We can hear your feedback in the background.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this property is at 1319 Amelia Street, which is in the medical complex around Touro Hospital in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is a residential property that's been converted for commercial use. Our initial valuation was $763,100. The taxpayer requested a $565. The Board of Review affirmed our value, and we did a fee simple appraisal for the commission. That fee simple appraisal came out slightly lower than our initial value at $606,400, and that's the value that we're praying for. It's a land value of $98,100, building at $508,300 for a total fair market value of $606,400.
Thank you, Russell. We'll hear from Marquez, LTC appraisal.
Do I have background noise still? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you, Marquez.
Okay, I didn't know if I was having a connectivity issue. I appraised the property at $525,300 with a land value of $98,100 and an improvement value of $427,200.
Thank you, Marquez. Questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, a couple of motion with assessors value total of $606,400, $98,100 of land, $508,300 on improvements, total of $606,400.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted. Is there any other business to come before the commission today? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I call for motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 9:58 a.m. Thank you all.